What's poppin'? Excuse my nastiness. What's poppin'? It's Kairos. You entering Kairos around this Meister lesson 4. And today, right now, what we'll be going into is the breath itself. Meister lesson 4. For a full description, it could just be titled Impulse. Now, what you're learning about is what your impulse is. But to dive into one's impulse, that's the reason it's called breath and not necessarily your impulse. You have to go through that exchange of life, of having that experience, letting it go, then reciprocating what that is. So, how you do that in the sense of life and actions and just participating with the day to day, it's through breath. Breathing is how you find out what your impulses are themselves. You have different breaths. You have different temperaments. You have different atmospheres and environments in which you put yourself in as a spirit and body when you act out different natures. This is how you bring yourself into existence or actualize your being as a whole when you're participating with reality itself. So, first, one must master their own breath. And that's just learning about breathing. I haven't even necessarily mastered my breath yet. I'm on the accumulations of doing so. But I've already completed processes of such things before in past lives. So I know shit on it that you don't. Because breath is kind of just beyond the physicality of life itself. It plays a part of that force that's you, that wholesomeness that you is. It's how you participate with life as like a mirror. It's through your breath. People and stuff is not your mirror. Your mirror is your breath. Your breath is who you are. You can always find out who you are in whatever type of moment based upon your breath itself, how you're breathing. Because the first thing you took when you got here was breath. That was the first allocation of an exist. That was the first thing that you needed to compute with reality was breath. So you started being like breath once you came in existence and started participating here. You started mirroring the actions or the actualities of what breath is itself, specifically inhaling. Then you learn to exhale. That's the breath. Then once you learn to do that, you see motherfuckers start crying and all that. You start developing your own breath and your own sense of what breath is. Because all spirits and bodies, all beings don't live through breath. That is a gift that we're granted and we have accessibility to living in the realm of air. So there are different types of breathing. Don't go too far. First, practice your breath. Just breathing. Learn what your breath is itself. Just about how you breathe and how you choose to do that. It's a whole process that I'm gonna be diving into furthermore. Breath is eventually gonna be like a whole class of its own. Because breath, it goes beyond even Meistering. It's something that's kind of Kairos initiated to where it's like always revolving around spirit. Breath is one of the actualities of how life is participating with one another. We all have our different breaths. But anyway, with talking about your different breaths, we all have seasons of breathing. So, breathing, you have different ways in which you breathe, and these different breaths bring about different actualities in who you are. If I start breathing fast, I bring about fast allocations in life. If I start breathing slow, I bring slow allocations in life. If I breathe at a steady pace, I bring steady things into my life. If I breathe in a calm manner, I bring calmness into my life. You get what I'm saying? And how when you actually participate and experience life, you kind of know that breath in the sense of what I'm talking about. You get it, but you have to breathe first. You have to go through different seasons of breathing itself so you know and compute with breath. It's something that we're all learning to do. And some people breathe better than others. Everyone doesn't necessarily participate with breathing. And it's kind of like a key. That's kind of like one of the little secrets of life. You practice breathing, you'll get further than others. And you can get further from just breathing. You don't really got to do much. And that's kind of like what monks and whatnot practice as well. Instead of going out and participating with life like all others, I'm just going to sit and breathe. That's how much faith I have in my reality. Because your reality is your breath. It's your air. It's your realm. It's the place in which your being is being. You know, and since I got faith into my air as if it's a real actualization of life, then that's like it's how I'm participating with existence. And existence kind of recognize that, and a big part of existence is what? Breath. So if I'm tapped into breath more than others, then I'll be luckier. And like being luckier is like all these different elements of my being naturally come together. In a sense to where it's like my currency is always something that I can grasp or that I have access to, while others may be trying to develop themselves more of. Because I breathe, who I am is already there. You know what I'm saying? I already got an element. You trying to figure stuff out still. I already picked something. I started being breath. And I realized that when I came here, I was breathing. I'm not looking at life and trying to figure out who I am like I'm not breath. I know breath is who I am. And I'm resonating with that sense of life. Because I came here to learn about breath. That's why I started breathing. Otherwise, I would have no point to be breathing. Now that's just my personal sense of life. Everyone has their own. But with me being a teacher right now, I'm giving you these type of gems, so you can see through these type of speculations and build about your own reality. But I'm giving you a basis in which you can have access to different totem poles. You got different natures and values in which you may not necessarily been conceiving in your life beforehand. And because I worship the things in which I do, I can give you access to my work, give you part of my conception, you know. So, yeah, you go through the different seasons of breathing, right? So it's important to learn about nature and whatnot before you start diving into these different aspects of breath itself. You learn about your natures and what nature is and how you resonate with that. So, um, this is a type of breathing that most beings are doing, but they're not in realization of it. It's called soul breathing. SOL breathing. It's where you naturally accumulate who you are in life, but you don't actually focus upon oneself. You just focus on the overall. This is why spirits and bodies here have a sense of not necessarily wanting to be alone, because they feel that sense of attachment to where you are connected to bigger bodies of energy. And as a spirit in a body, when you're breathing as a soul, you want to be attached to that type of resonance more of. So you come here and you want to be with others. That's like soul breathing, to where you're just accessing the part of your being that's merely just secreting in existence. You're learning about the secrets of life as they naturally come. It's like in that state of being, or that state of, life itself, moving more like sages, or hippie-ish, to where it's like you're not really just focused on one little detail. You're always overall. That's soul breathing, and the more you practice soul breathing, the more you be bigger and you have control and access, how to wholesomely be an overall being, to where you're not just representing one minuscule aspect of yourself, you're coming as all of who you are. So that's soul breathing. Next, we have winter breathing. Now, winter breathing is you being um, just all of your entity, rather than being attached to any of the sense of the psyche. I'm merely the existence that is flowing through my existence. That's like winter breathing, to where I'm not attached to anything, because attachment is merely a word. When it's winter breathing, I'm breathing as if I am an elemental. I'm breathing as if I am this season, as if I am the cold, as if I am, as if I am the whole blizzard. Not necessarily just the feeling of it. I'm the whole embodiment of what that is. And winter breathing is not just embodiment, but it's breathing without the body while having possession of one. So that's winter breathing, and yeah, you'll see what it brings as you practice it, and what you see winter as, and different ways you can relate to that sense of it, is how you can develop these different powers. They work in correlations of your faith. And the greater imagination you can have in a realistic sense of your life is how you bring out more of your being to participate with you in a continuous manner of reality, to where it's like you always got a spirit ally, to where you don't necessarily have to participate with existence in the likeness of others. It's like you're always in a place of victory. You're always the winner or the winter. You're just specifying what that is. So your position is like, I am the action itself. So that's winter breathing. Now, you have heat breathing. And heat breathing is like you merely embodying the raw aspects of your spirit. It's like you being in reality and you're really just trusting who you are, rather than trying to participate with life as if you have some grasp over anything. Like heat breathing is like, I'm here and I'm here for a reason. So you're focusing upon the reasons of who you are, and you're kind of letting that flow in a continuous manner. You don't want to get lost or caught or locked in any specific thought or any specific shape or form. You're just flowing. You're not necessarily even in a space of nothingness or necessarily trying to clear your mind. It's merely the focus of the breath itself, for heat is the detachment. So when you get to focusing on the breath, it's like you're detaching from a sense of who you are in the first place. So that's why that's the heat breathing. That's like the actual push and pull, the expansion and the contraction is heat. So it's what you're trying to just be, It's not necessarily something that you're trying to invoke. It's something that you're flowing with. So this is something that you aren't already. That's why you're breathing. This is a part of who you are who you are becoming. It's more in the sense of your horrific type of body and living in that realm and existence of life. rather than participating with existence like I'm just a physical entity. I'm always focused on my breath. So when I'm not breathing, I notice it. It's as if I always have to breathe. So now when I'm talking, it's like I need to breathe more because my body is just being heat. It's because I'm breathing as heat itself. So that's heat breathing, right? Now, next, you have ice breathing. And ice breathing is like having breath, but being aware of the silence that's within it. Because breath doesn't necessarily need to be taken. Ice breathing is the most masterful because ice breathing is beyond who you are. Ice breathing doesn't necessarily have to have a resonance with any sense of life. It's like one of them existences that devour all realities type shit, you know, in a way to where it's like everything can become ice. Everyone goes through a part of life to where you have to be cold, you know, you have to be wholesome. You gotta come back within that sense of what you truly is. And that's what ice breathing is. You know, it's like your original secretion of existence itself. So, ice breathing is diving further and further into its silence. It's almost like enlightenment. You know, it's literally a sense of life that's beyond what's practical. So ice breathing is not something that I would suggest to anyone that's less masterful with existence, or you lack belief or faith in the natural potentials of what you carry. Like you use excuses like my genetics or my DNA or why I'm here or I'm not this. Any ice breathing don't care about none of that. Ice breathing is a sense of life without care. It's more of conscious air. It's me just being here, you know, and not necessarily having to do anything else but that. And it's knowing that's who I am, you know, and life doesn't go beyond that. People just like making stuff, but life is just ice, if you're being honest. It's all still. Everyone is cold. Everyone has an age. Everyone has a sense of themselves. You have to have a conception. You came here solid in some way. So, you've been iced before, but you may not memorize all of your iciness. I don't necessarily know how to fully break that down right now, but all of your crystallization. You don't know how you came together you don't know how to put together all these little puzzle pieces of yourself. But if you ice, you do. Or you don't mind going upon such a journey. That's ice breathing. And it's being willing to be cold. Now, when you cold, you alone. That's not something that everyone can handle. Most beings in existence can't handle being alone. That's why you live with others. Ice breathing is the most masterful. You see, when you want to get better at something, oftentimes you be alone, and then you train upon it. You know, that's all the element of ice itself. It is mastery. You know, to where ice is the coldest shit. To where ice is honestly even fire. If it can burn you, in any way, you just may not have experienced such a flame, or may be protected from such things based upon your environment, habitat, or guardians themselves. although it is in existence. Ice. It's a star in reality. So, yeah, that's the basics for lesson 4, and you just make your own breath. You don't even necessarily got to do these type of breathings, cause I got Darius breathing. Darius breathing is a whole that's a whole thing. Like I got old videos on this page just called Kairoza Faye, KAIROZAFAE, and I got some stuff to where I dive into some of my cultivation practices and just talking about um, different ways that, like, when I talk about words, oftentimes I relate things to like a sense of my own breath or a sense of the first name I was gifted. That's not necessarily just your breath, but in a way it can be, and it's a choice that I made. That Darius is part of what my breath is. I've been focusing on what the breath of Darius is. Anyway, um, I got different shit like my Darius, M Darius, D Darius, God Darius, Gold Darius, N Darius, um, uh, Do Darius. I got a whole lot of like different breaths that I practice just relating to my own shit, or what I feel like is my own sense of life, to where I don't relate it to any other being in existence. Just Darius. I got Darius breathing. But I'm not just gonna break that down right now, because that's beings is just resonating with my little field or energy. I'm talking about overall shit. That's for everybody type shit. You know. So, yeah. Kairos.